Okay. I don't know what happened. It says on my end one thing, and on the other end, I guess it probably says something else. But it's Monday night. Whew, Monday night football. You probably watching football instead of watching this. Let me know what the score is. This is an interactive, so it's an interactive live stream. So put in the comments what's going on the game. Okay, do me that favor. Anyway, uh, it's Monday, October 14th, 2024. It's Monday night. Let's chill. Let's get comfortable. Let's talk about some modern day mental health because on the Adroit Living session of the Erudition Network, I like to talk about things that are helpful to improve mental health because mental health crisis is a serious problem and we need to talk about it. And the more we talk about it, guess what? We're going to get through it. We're going to get through it and it'll improve because it's like a major part of it is misinformation and disinformation. And it's like, it's so much the internet is flooded with disinformation, even social media, not just social media. I said the internet, but it's social media. The the all the medias, all the network medias. So I can't get it out tonight. It's late, but nationally and internationally, we're noticing that mental health is a major concern because a lot of people are confused and their behaviors are resembling that confusion and that frustration that derives from that confusion. So we need to talk about it. And a lot of times we're seeing that it's affecting people's decision making skills. It's not just the critical thinking skills, which some people contrive to control and really limit so it can be contrived to a particular purpose depending on your atmosphere and where you're being educated at, where you're going to faith and practice your worship and praise. It's being seen in numerous places, especially in the workplace. In the workplace, we've noticed industrial organizational psychologists notice that a lot of people, there's studies that's coming out that's showing that a lot of people are resorting back to being more prayerful, exercising their meditation at work, exercising prayer at work. And it's not like it's like flamboyantly done. It's something that people are doing privately to control their mental health, to help them combat stressful situations. So I want to talk about it today because we need to see that while we're making decisions outside of the workplace, outside of school, outside of faith place institutions. We need to see it. And why? Because a lot of times people don't understand how invaluable their voice is and how significant the impact of their voice is. So I want to talk about it because I noticed it during the presidential election year that we're in right now. We see a lot of people saying their voice doesn't matter and they don't really understand how the decisions that they're making about these elections impact their future and impact them personally, even if they don't believe that their voice is actually being able to be heard. That is a nullifying of contrived training that's conditioned us to feel insignificant, and it's really impeding on it's really hindering our mental health and mental well-being from being more positive and having more positive experiences and feeling like we can enjoy things. Have you had that situation where you're like, man, I'm not really enjoying things the way I used to. I'm not really feeling as happy as I used to about the things that I used to feel happy about. Those same things I'm not really as happy about. Now, I've shown you, if you've been watching, I have many videos out there. Go back and binge watch a few of them and try to watch them. I challenge my viewers to watch at least 3 times, each time having a different mental perspective, and just feel a different way about watching and the things that I'm saying, so you can have a little bit more exercise in your critical thinking skills to say, one time you watch it and you're like, a yes man, yeah, that's good, yeah, yeah, yeah. The next time, play devil's advocate and say, well, man, that sounds crazy. Maybe the first time you watch it, you say that. I don't know. I'm just saying. And the next time, the third time you watch it, you're watching with the understanding of everything that already was said and both perspectives that you've already watched it with. And now you can start that critical thinking skills flowing and start to think about, what can I do about it? And that's the thing that we're seeing a lot now. We're seeing a lot of people saying, do something. Do something about it. Don't just know it. Don't just hear it. Don't just talk about it. What actions are you going to put to work? Let's talk about it. While a lot of rich people and the 1% don't want to support laypersons as laypersons desire, and they work hard to earn. Well, it's like a financial, well-to-do, not just the rich, but the financially well-to-do that didn't think that they would be in this category. Yeah, now they in the category with the rest of us. And the 1% has made more defined efforts to show that they are set apart from the laypersons and those who are well-to-do. Now, it's a 1%, and those 1%, they don't have to worry about the laypersons, or so they think, and that's what they've been contrived to believe up until now. And on the Erudition Network, as the Adroit Living sessions occur, I try to help people to understand there is a positive correlation to financial fluctuations in the organizations as a direct result of mental health. And we need to address it. So that's why we need to talk about it. With all that money, the 1%ers have, they don't want to live in bunkers right now. Yeah, it's like you getting all that money together and you living in a bunker. They don't want to live in a bunker. They're like, I want to live free. They want to live and travel and enjoy their riches and spoils. And now they're coming to think, now that we group too many people in the same category as, laypersons, or people who grinding every day, people who are not a 1%er, people who are working and have to strive to, improve their life every day and improve the lives of their children, and those people who actually care about their children's future, so they're pouring into their future, not saving all the money for themselves. They're pouring into their children's future. Well, now that they've separated themselves and they say, well, we can live in bunkers, they're like, wait a minute. You mean the 1%ers have to live in a bunker while everybody else gets to live free and roam and enjoy these beautiful sights and take in all of the scenery and enjoy the lavishness of free air? Now, everybody may think, oh, yeah, I got this really good havoc system and that air is really filtered well. Yeah, but it's nothing like fresh air. Well, due to the mental health state of the global economy, there will be no support for anything outside of logic, which benefits the majority. And that's where the 1%ers are coming to realize, oh, you mean I'm able to be a part of that if I can benefit the whole, if I can start benefiting the majority as opposed to just working for myself. Now, I know we've seen in this political era, we've seen a lot of Republicans come out and say, I've never voted for a Democrat before. And a lot of times it's because they understand that Republicans are more concerned about personal wealth and ways of growing personal wealth, whereas Democrats are concerned about the majority. and the benefits for the majority more often than not. So now we're all starting to come into a realization that, yeah, we're going to have to start to consider the majority, because though I like being a one percenter and I like associating with those one percenters, but I'm not trying to live the rest of my days in a bunker. I'm not trying to live only around those people. So they're coming out and they're saying, well, yeah, let's rethink these these decisions, these political perspectives, where we're saying let's just focus more on the one percenters and put tariffs and um, taxes on, these things that would hinder the majority from prospering faster and more efficiently in the way that they really want to. Because if they do that, well, they may not listen to us talk crazy anymore. They may not listen to us say things like, oh, it's the system that unplugged your life support. Because the system, see, your insurance policy went out, and we have this thing going on now where, yeah, so I got the plug in my hand, but yeah, it was the system that made me do it. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. It's illogical. So binge watch the previous episodes where I explained it in more detail. But if you look at this, if you look at this body here, imagine if only 1% of it functioned logically for the betterment of the entire body. Can you imagine that? What's a 1% part of the body? Well, the brain is bigger, so it can't be the 1%. But you see these intestines here? Well, these intestines lead to what we would call the 1%. And that 1%, yeah, that's where all of them large intestines, after you finish eating, and they push all that unnecessary food out through the back end there. And that back end, that little hole there could be considered, yep, you guessed it, the 1%. Yeah, so everybody, it doesn't matter what the type of body you have, everybody has that 1%. And we all know it gets a little stinky and needs a little extra care every so often. Not just once a day and not just once a week, but every time you use it, it needs a special kind of cleaning. So if we kind of think of it that way, we can start to process it a little bit better, where it's like, nah, it's necessary. The 1%, that 1% is necessary. It's not dispensable. But we need to clean it up every now and again. Not just, every few, days or so. We need to clean that up frequently. Now, that's for the betterment of not just the whole body, not just for this whole body, but for everybody around it. Okay, we need to get that cleaned up. So especially, these ladies with the BBLs now, y'all starting to understand that a whole lot better. So if we consider that 1% is not the entirety of the whole, but it has that kind of significance to not just the one body, but all of us. It affects all of us around. So start to think of it that way. Even the 1% of a human heart working, it's expected, that 1% cannot sustain life for the entire body. If you was to look at the human heart, it's larger than the 1% of the whole body. But if it only 1% of the heart was working, the whole body would fail. Why would anyone logically believe in trusting the 1% of rich people is enough to make or break the entire whole of a country, let alone a global community of workers, which dictates to the world markets? For example, you have 1% of people who are like rich, and they dictate whether their money will go to fund the pharmacies. Let's say the pharmaceutical market. And the pharmaceutical market says, well, we only want to sell these products for 1,000% increase in profit, or else you can't have it. Well, if you start thinking about it, it's a little bit more. If people are not alive to consume your products, no one's going to buy it. Therefore, you have a product that is unavailable to the people who need it and want it. So after a while, your supply, regardless of how much it is and overstocked it is, there's no demand. And then if people learn to live without your products that you want to profit so greatly and grossly from, where are you now? You see that video where I showed you that you have the same $10 in your hand, where you keep trying to transfer that same $10 to each hand back and forth until that person gets tired of that same product and they go somewhere else, leaving you holding that same $10 by yourself while they go and trade elsewhere. Yeah, that's where you'll be. That's where you'll be, because everybody you were supposed to get to patronize you, they're gone. They're gone. Whether they're 6 feet under or they found something else to help them to thrive and survive. Your problem is worse than what you believe it to be. And history shows that, it supports that. But going back to my point, it's illogical, and it's this kind of foolery and smiling in people's face, which caused, the clapback of we're not going back. Sound minds know this history and the outcomes of this situation. A lot of businesses have failed because they exercise that sort of mentality. And a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I suppose the 1%ers believe that such a time would come where everybody would be mentally trained, that they would just follow suit, regardless of logic, regardless of sound mind, regardless of reasoning. And they coming to find that's not true. Think about it this way. You remember the dodo birds and the lemmings? They had real numbers which gathered together in real physical spaces. Where are they now? Why is that? Lessons are repetitive. No one in this life, in this flesh, can rightly claim they did not know or understand, because you have these examples repeated in different ways, in different life cycles, in different economies, with different species, with different. So it's not just the birds, it's not just the rodents, it's not just the humans. It is flowers, it's in the food, it's in the crops, it's in everything that we do. These lessons are repetitive. So you cannot not understand. You cannot fail to understand. The answers are plain and very clear and repeated fundamentally everywhere you look. People say, oh, slave owners, were our ancestors. Slaves were our ancestors. It wasn't us. They were your ancestors too. That wasn't us. We don't have nothing to think about. We don't have anything to learn from that. Let's just forget all of that. And that's not true. Now, in my book, I try to show you a fundamental way of getting back to fundamental formal logic, generational wealth, information asymmetry, and your success. Why? Because I'm trying to recondition people to go back to their formal logic. The book is different, y'all. It's different. So you got to get it. Get your own copy. It's at Amazon. It's at Lulu. Go get yourself a copy. And while you edit, read it, take your time. It's a small book. There we go. Get your copy. Now, I'm trying to help you understand that it took years for them to contrive these ways that's getting this kind of clapback, that's caused this sort of mental global health crises. So it's not to say let's forget about all those things our ancestors did. It's to say the point of knowledge of our ancestral past is to learn what took place and to learn better, not to repeat anything associated with the negative acts and outcomes this modern gen doesn't want to be associated with. It's like, well, because we don't want to be associated with it, we're going to just forget about it altogether. Like, wait, what? We're not going to talk about it. There is fundamental logic in it that we need to grow from. We need to know. And that's why it seems those who are well learned about this history understand the outcome that we are headed to if you continue to exercise just that 1% of this body. We have many parts to the same body. We are all many parts of the same body, human body. Okay, everything outside of it is like pets, animals, plants, the solar system, all that kind of thing. But we are the same. And now 1%, you see those intestines? Yeah, that goes right out of that pooper shooter right there. We need to clean it up. We cannot let it dictate to everybody and everything around it, because it's not clean, because it's not logic for it to go without being maintained properly and guided better. We cannot claim things happen and it's entertaining, or say, oh well, things happen, because we are trying to justify being entertained, or we justify it for whatever reason, or otherwise excuse harm being done to people by other people, when we are the body of people who are being affected. And people are now starting to come to an awareness like, wait a minute, this does affect me. Somebody told me it doesn't affect me. This has nothing to do with me, mind my own business. But yeah, it does affect me. It does affect me, even though I don't have any children in college, because it's these PhDs who are in college that's coming back snapping off, talking about, oh, they can get away with it because they learned the system. They learned how to unplug the plug and say, hey, it wasn't me, it was the system. And everyone's looking at them like, what are you talking about? You're talking illogically, and we're not going to have it. We're not having it anymore. We can't keep claiming, oh, well, the person who I harmed, I did it for this logical reason, because that logic is being applied across the board. And people are saying, okay, if that's how you're going to play it, and they'll level up. They'll level up that level of pettiness. And we don't want that. So that was the takeaway from all the American history. What was that? We cannot claim things happen and it's just entertaining or whatever other reason, or otherwise excuse harm being done to people by other people. It's not Black history. It's not Jewish history. It's not Native American history. It is human history. And we cannot keep saying, oh, well, that was just what happened with the Jews. It doesn't matter to what. That has nothing to do with the rest of us. Oh, that was just the Native Americans. That has nothing to do with us. Oh, that's just the Black people, and we're still screwing them over. I'm just saying, we can't keep justifying people causing harm to other people and not understand we just justified that same harm being done to us. The person who is preying on those people. You can't keep doing that. And for the record, all history is sacred, is in sacred scrolls, is in sacred books, and wise people who have made the discoveries that say exactly what I'm saying here today very plainly. I know I try to keep it plain, and if I say a word, I slip up and I say something and it's like, oh, I don't understand that definition. Can you break it down a little bit more? This is a live stream, interactive. Go ahead, put it in the comments and say, can you explain that just a little bit better than that? I didn't catch it. So go ahead and try to catch it. Okay, go ahead and try to catch it. So I'm going to I don't know what happened here. Teddy, can you get us back together? Okay, let's see. So where was I before I was distracted about what happened with the camera? I don't know what's going on. Hey, for a little bit there, we had a whole lot of problems going on. The vacuum cleaner broke, and we need the vacuum. Okay, we vacuum all the time. And then the aquarium filter, not the aquarium filter, but the aquarium heater broke on one of the aquariums you're seeing on social media, and my discus didn't like that. Then the aquarium behind me, that aquarium heater broke. And I didn't have a backup heater for that one. And you can see back there, that disc is over there. He's not liking all these changes that's happening. So the internet acting crazy and everything around us acting crazy. But that's all right, because the way people act or the way people respond in a crisis is vital to their survival and yours. It affects you. So watch how people act when things go wrong. There's a lot of stuff going wrong these days too. I'm just saying, it ain't just me. But God has been known to use, things like the weather as a means of getting people's attention. God works in mysterious ways, and oftentimes we've seen in sacred scrolls, we've seen in wise men, even the Native Americans, the elders, they've said, and it's even written in the Bible where God uses the weather to show signs and wonders for people to track the seasons and track what time it is, when it's time to pray. And he said, if you pray, he'll hear from he'll hear you. He'll hear you, and he'll heal the land. He'll hear from those who are praying. And I'm not talking about just when them bullets start ringing. I'm talking about when that weather started. We've seen this weather go really crazy, and we've seen a lot of people try to say, well, we've seen the Republicans and MAGA say things like the Democrats are controlling the weather. That's not possible. We're not gods. Only God can control the weather. And God uses that to get people's attention. And if you say, well, I don't pray, I don't normally pray, I ain't really had nothing to pray about, and I don't think God listening anyway. When that weather struck, we figured out God is listening, because you're still here today. And your loved ones and some of your friends, even though they was in positions where they probably shouldn't have been when that tornado came, when the floods came in, when all those things happened. Some people didn't make it. Some people did. And we need to keep that kind of mentality where we're saying, look, we got to get back to our formal logic. We need to start exercising critical thinking skills, which are relative to our daily living. I almost said something else, but it's relative to our daily life. So it's important not to be deceived to believe people do not have control of other people, that they do have control of other people. You can't control what other people do, and to contrive people to believe that you do because that person has an expectation of you to give them favor, to award them your favor. You got to understand, it's going to come a point in time where they don't care about your favor. What'd you say, Sean Anthony? Yeah, I hate to tell people, but Zeus and the other Olympic gods don't exist, despite ancient legend. And you know what? I think a lot of times people take those things, those literary works, out of context and out of content, because it's like they're using these things as metaphors for you to understand certain things and certain powers that people have to speak to God and ask God to move. And it's like everybody has that ability. And it's like we have to get back to our formal logic to understand how to pray, how to ask God to move in our favor. And when we see Milton coming and we are still in those houses in the path of Milton and all these other hurricanes by any other name, and we trusted somebody and for whatever reason, we're still in the path of destruction. We really quickly resort back to our formal logic and we start praying, and we now know how to talk to God. We now know how to reach him. But once the trouble is gone, we forget all over again. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And in my book, I try to help jar you back. And I use some really clever tactics to jar you back, because it makes you think. It makes you have to think. It's kind of sneaky now. I'm not gonna tell you about it. If you get the book and you ask me, well, why this? And I'm gonna say, aha, gotcha. Now you understand. But you got to get the book. But anyway, people try to make it seem like, oh, I can control this person because they can control the weather. That's not true. And that's not biblical. That is not godly. That is not factual in any kind of method or way. I don't care what you want to say. Yeah, we could put some snow on these mountains so people can go skiing and whatnot, but you can't keep it there if the sun is not cooperating with you. So you can't control the weather, though you can control some particular environments. You can't control things. I'm just saying. Come on now, people. People can't even, restore the soil. You can't restore the soil that we are building our crops and things on so people can afford to buy groceries. How you controlling the weather? If you was able to control the weather, then the crops wouldn't be spoiling. The crops wouldn't be burning. Okay, now y'all gonna get me to go there, but I'm trying to stay on topic. But we cannot even, as man, control the soil of the earth to be nurturing so that our crops and can flourish again and go ahead and sustain life the way it used to, without undesirable, unpredictable, uncontrollable side effects. So if we can't even control the food that we're eating every day and say, well, this is going to be healthy for you, it's not going to cause any side effects, a lie. Have you seen people's bellies lately? Those bellies are side effects of some GMOs. I'm just going to say, we controlling some stuff, and it's not the weather. I'm just saying. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Hey, I feel you. Go ahead with your theories and everything, but resort back to formal logic once you're done, because it's like, whoa, yeah, that was entertaining, but let me get back to to reality, the formal logic. The thing about it is, God is phenomenal, and uh, uh, human wrath and spiritual wrath, and nothing controls or dictates to the phenomenon. Not even. What I'm saying is, God is phenomenal. Our human wrath, our spiritual wrath. Oh, I'm not gonna pray, or I'm gonna pray. I know y'all seeing these Capitol riot videos where the people was like, oh, we're sitting here praying, and they're blasting us with tear spray and tear gas and stuff, and we're praying. Your spiritual wrath of praying and form of praying against whatever, that's not gonna move God in the way you want it to either. It's not gonna control God's behavior, and it ain't gonna dictate to the phenomenon we call God. Revert back to formal logic. Love it. It's very zero. I know, right? But they do try to contrive the statistics by controlling the research tools that's used to report the data that researchers gather. And I spoke about that on some of my previous episodes. I try to be nice about what I say about it because that's my field. And I don't want to down talk it because there's a lot of good people in that field. But there's a whole lot of 1%ers we got to clean up. And that's in different areas. Now, what I say about 1%ers, I said, this is the whole body. We are all the human body. different parts of the same body, and that only 1% of that body, and this body here, you see all those intestines, and it leads to that 1%, that pooper shooter right there. And that pooper shooter is a tiny little 1% of the entire body. But if it isn't cleaned up, nobody want to be around that body. I'm just saying. That's where we are right now. That's where we are right now, just to sum it up very succinctly without being discriminatory to the 1%ers. I'm just saying. But anyway, people can only report the phenomenon. They cannot control it. And they can learn from it, and in hopes to grow because of the acknowledgement and the acts of the phenomenon. A lot of people, especially scientific researchers, they think that the objective of learning these things and conducting these researches and studies and things is so that we can control things, so that we can manipulate it to occur at our will. That is not why. And that's one of the major contributing factors to why so many people in a large spectrum have this global mental health crisis, and we need to fix it. We need to stop denying what humans have learned just because we don't like the way we learned it, just because we can't control it, because information asymmetry. Now, here we go again. I got to tell you, get the book, Information Asymmetry and Your Success. I did not come up with these words and these terms. I am simply reporting to you what many have already discovered. And I'm breaking it down in a way that you'll be able to understand it in a way that's going to help you improve your critical thinking skills and get back to your formal logic. Right now, we are seeing it more than before, where people are urging others, get back to your formal logic, get back to understanding we can't do this, we can't go back. Those who were quiet before, those were the intelligent people and sound minds, and they're saying, look, this foolishness is gone on long enough. We're not going back to those things because those people who are knowledgeable remain silent. We're not doing that. Humans are to be loved by one another as we love each other, as we want to be loved ourselves. We need to love our neighbors and our children and other people, other humans. We need to love them the way we ourselves want to be loved and respected. And we need to expect, despite our differences, that what we put out is what we're going to get back in return. And that's something that we're seeing, for example, in these political rallies, when we see the hate speech being spoken, and then another rally, we'll see an actor of that hate who has justified that logic and took it into their own hands and said, okay, well, I'm applying it where I want it. And where I want it is right here. I'm just saying, humans want other humans to respect and acknowledge hard work and award hard work with expected awards of acknowledgments and honor. You're not, one thing that really used to just grind folks' gears and really make those people who like to be the oppressor, they used to feel good when they tell somebody who's earned something and worked real hard for it, well, I ain't gonna give you. Hold on now. You're not giving nothing. I earned it. You are awarding what is due and barely what's due, because you're going to take away taxes and you're going to justify taking away as much as you can possibly get away with. So don't tell me how you gave me. And then because I don't clap back so loud and immediately and be all flamboyant with it so you can call security on me, just because I didn't do that doesn't mean I didn't understand what you just did. It doesn't mean I didn't get the depth of what you did. I'm just not giving you the glory in understanding. You grinding my gears. All right. You see how Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris is, I'm sorry, these people, Kamala Harris is laughing at folks. And it's not that she's laughing at them. It's just you see buffoonery and all you can do is smile and laugh like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. But you don't want to say that out loud. But the laugh, the smile, it's saying it all. It's saying it all. It's like, you trying to get to me. I know. But you don't even understand. I'm one of those people that's, what they say, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you do to me, bounce off me and sticks to you. A lot of religious people say, I return it to the sender. Shake down, press together, fold 100-fold, fold it over 100-fold, or something like that. I don't know. But it's always the understanding that what you do to me, the same thing be done to you. You reap the harvest of the souls, the seeds you sow. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of that now, because humans want to live unharmed by perceivably safe things, and it's occurring in places where they should be safe, or it's occurring in places where, they should be safe venting, not just dwelling in and residing there, or for the moment, or whatever, like schools, grocery stores. They're supposed to be safe in these places, and they're supposed to be safe to express what's the matter with them when they're trying to be in these safe places, when they're talking to someone that's an authority figure who's supposed to be helpful, someone who's supposed to be teaching them. But these schools, a lot of bad actors are in there, just like in the workforce of any other form. It's all the workforce. There's a hierarchy of business. Therefore, it is a workforce. I'm just telling you. And people don't want authorities or trusted leaders falsely blaming objects which have no authority. And they cannot act without humans for actions they themselves are accountable for and trusted to correct. It's the humans. It's the human aspects of the system, because the system cannot function on its own. It has no autonomy. It is an object that has no thought. It cannot act. It has no arms. It has no voice without humans programming the computers, programming the AI, programming the I don't want to get too deep with it, but there's a command that the computers are functioning on in order to function. But the human body has an involuntary kind of system. And that involuntary system forces the body to thrive and to live. And that's what we are. We are being forced. Our hand is forced to live, regardless of that 1% pooper shooter that needs to get cleaned up. And we can't just clean it up from here. We have to go deep into the digestive system, the large intestines, clean it out. We got to get it all cleaned out, because it has cluttered up so badly that the stomachs are bloated. You ever see somebody and be like, man, they so skinny, but their stomach is rather bloated up? That's them GMOs. And I'm just saying it in a way that you can understand how it affects us in our entirety and all the decisions that we're making. I'm just saying, because I'm running out of time and that clock is really starting to bother me now. But anyway, people want accountability of actors, authorities who incited the actors, laws which suggest or outright claim or permit harm or the perpetuation of harm to people. People want accountability. They don't want you to just say, okay, well, you pooped, but let's wipe. No. Let's get some tissue and just wipe. No. Let's get some wipes, some wet ones. Let's get some soap and water. Let's now get into, now that we got that done, let's get into that digestive system and get that Get that cleaned out. Let's get up in there and get all that bag up waste, that backed up waste. Let's get it all out of there. People want to be a part of a positive history where their ancestors will be happy that they're owners of that kind of history. We're seeing right now where a lot of people don't want to accept the accountability of their ancestors because they're ashamed of ashamed to take ownership of what their ancestors did. We're not going back to that. We can't go back to that. We can't go back to that because we saw where that led us. And we're like, yeah, nah, we can't do that. We can't do that because we also understand the mental health of the global society will not sustain that. It will not sustain that. There will be no finances. There will be no support. There will be no bodies that's going to say, we're going to stand on that. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And right now, where we're left after the COVID-19 pandemic thinned us out, we're left at those people that you can't fool. And we're saying we can't go back. When the trusted justify wrongs, this moment in history is where the good and the bad and the ugly and the pretty and the poor and the rich and the sick and the healthy and the young and the old and those who have yet to be born. This is the moment in history where we will all, despite gender, culture, titles, man's favor, education, the economy, people's faith or non-faith, as individuals are living in life. Stop lying or falsely claiming events in history have no purpose in modern times and no positive correlation with how people should behave moving forward. So the positive correlation meaning, this thing did not cause this other thing. Yeah, that 1% is caused the entire whole to no longer have the different sections that it used to. You used to have the lower class, the middle class, the upper class. We don't have those classes anymore. We have everybody and the 1%. And we're saying, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that because the body just doesn't function that way. Stop falsely relabeling negative events in history as victimless or teachable moments those accountable in authority and leadership should not be held accountable for, while followers lose their life and their loved ones and those who witness it and are traumatized by the events, and the workers who can no longer work as usual continue to suffer. But leaders and authorities smile and blame the system and falsely claim everything is okay, as those people cannot see everything, as though everybody can't see everything ain't okay. We've seen how the January 6th chaos has led us all down a path where a lot of people are like, I can't vote because my voice doesn't matter. And then when I try to make my voice matter, it caused a complete chaos that we try to take over the whole Capitol because nobody can imagine that I finally spoke up. Nobody can imagine that I finally voted. Nobody can imagine that I did not agree, though I smiled in your face and said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I went in private and voted a sound mind. I voted a conscious mind that said, nah, we can't go back. We can't go back. I might have smiled in your face. I might have said everything that you wanted me to hear from what you told me. I heard what you said. I heard what you wanted me to hear. And then I told you what you wanted to hear. See how that works? So you tell me what I want to hear. I tell you what you want to hear. But behind closed doors, you're not the only one that's making the decision that you want to make. So you can't get upset when people say, yeah, I lied to you, because you're telling them too. Oh, I lied to you. Yeah, you did. And now you're getting lied back to, and you can't take that smoke. You can't take the same dirt you just threw. I'm just saying, we need to stop that. You can't lead that way and not expect that your followers are going to say, okay, that's how you plan it. Got it. Got it. Let's level up that level of pettiness because I can do better than that. You stole my idea anyway, so all I'm going to do is level it up in a way you can never believe because you didn't come up with the idea yourself. You used my idea against me. You used my own work against me. But I have the key because I'm the originator of the information. So there they go. But I'm just saying, we need to stop that. We can't keep going back there because that's leading us to a devastation where we can't even go grocery shopping and we can't even trust the food we're eating. Yeah, that part. No one can violate or validate harm being done to other humans without also justifying the same being done to them, because history shows that ideology, that sort of ideology does not work like that. So you may be thinking that you're telling somebody to go out there and hurt somebody else, but you just justified them later coming back and hurting you. But history does show when we learn from these gross errors, we grow, our lands become nourishing, and we produce goods and crops, and the weather improves, and love grows, and people thrive. That's what history shows, and that's what it supports, and that's why we have this big large clapback. Like, we can't go back. We're not going back. We don't have enough of the people who are illogical who will support that kind of path. We're tired of saying, oh yeah, we'll go along with that just to see where it goes because it's entertaining. Oh yeah, we'll go along with that because, yeah, we'll eat that. Yup, we'll eat that up too. Yup, what you say? You saying some other craziness and we got to take that. Diddy said that, take that. Yeah, we eat it up and smile. See, we're going to eat it up and smile. Yum, 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 yum. Eat it up, smile. But it's coming time where that belly has gotten so swollen, so backed up, and it's polluted the body so that the body is also swollen because it can't take anymore. And the body is now fighting back. It's innate within the system, the involuntary system of the human ability to thrive, to live, and survive. It's innate. It's involuntary, like in the human body, where the body innately breathes. It sweats. It's taking all the impurities out of the body, and it's coming out its pores in every orifice of the body. It's to the point where it's an involuntary act. And it's a part of us resorting back to our formal logic. We just need to get there a lot faster. We need to get there a lot faster, and we need to not leave nobody behind. And how do we prevent leaving anybody behind? Because if it's like, okay, well, this part of my body doesn't function the way I want it to, so we're not really going to focus on that part because that part has a retardation, a stunted growth, a waywardness. So we're not going to, no, we're going to take it all. We're going to take it all with us. All the parts that isn't quite growing the way we want it to. We're taking it all. We don't care if you're missing an arm, a leg, a hand, a finger, an eye. Everybody, every part of the body is pushing back and saying, we're all included. Our body is at risk. The whole body. Many parts, but the whole body. And we're innately striving to survive. And at a point, when we get back to surviving, we're going to start to work on thriving. Because we've been there. We've been there. We've been there. And our bodies are like, nah, it's toxic. Get it out. Get it out and clean it up. And that's where we are right now in this moment in history. We're at the point where we're like, we can't take it anymore. We're not going to take it anymore. We're not going back, no matter what nobody say. And on top of all of that, we're going to remember. We're not going to burn the history books. We're not going to change statistics. We're not going to change the measures of method that measures of meth, a measurement where we're saying lies and we're reporting improper data and statistics that dictate to us that says, yeah, everything's okay. Keep going. That's the way to go. Dodo bird. That's the way to go, lemmings. Yeah, go that way. No, we're going to learn from the dodo birds. We're going to learn from the lemmings. And we're not going to go back because we saw what happened to them. We saw what came of them. Where are the dodo birds now? Where are the lemmings? Used to be so many of them, both of them. Where are they now? And don't talk about, well, it was the fact that we're not using green energy. No, it was deliberate. They followed deliberately. They followed willingly. What they do? Take that, and they ate it. They ate it. And it didn't quite go, and the stomachs are bloated and swollen, and the digestive system is backed up and impure, and we need to shoot it out that 1%. Clean up that 1%, and everything else will start functioning better. That is what we're saying in this current economic environment. You have to clean up that 1% so that it functions in a manner that benefits the entire body. It benefits the entire body, not just the 1%, because the 1%, yeah, that thing can't function by itself. It needs for the hands to prepare the meals, for the hands to cook it, and for the hands to put it in the mouth. The mouth that's taken for granted, but without entry into the mouth, without those essential workers, you have nothing. The 1%ers have nothing. You have to understand it so that we can get out of it together, not leaving anybody behind, so you don't have any disgruntled persons, because we're not going back. So it's imperative, it's important, it's vitally important, it's vitally serious to get everybody to understand at a very fundamental level that we need to move forward by helping everybody understand that it's the large part of the body that's making the whole thing function, not just the 1%. It's the entire part. Although the entire part is extremely important, and some people want us to forget how important it is, but it's illogical, because without the whole, there is no 1%. Without the whole, there is no 1%. We got to get back to our formal logic. And our formal logic is directly associated with our mental health. And the modern history of mental health that we're seeing today is unprecedented because of all unprecedented negative acts we have justified being the norm for too long. And we cannot justify it anymore because we can't digest it. We can't digest it and continue to grow. We're stunted in our growth and development, and our wealth is taking a major hit to the point where we are failing to thrive. Even the 1%ers are failing to thrive because they're understanding that their finances are really taking a hard hit because of this mental health crisis that's global. It's international. It's not just local. It's not excluded to a culture or a group of people or a class of people. It is everyone and everywhere. And unless we get it together, it's going to take you out. And before we go out, we're going to have that involuntary system to take over where we're going to say, oh, no, can't do it. I'm not going to do it because I'm not a lemming. I'm not going to do it because I'm not a dodo bird. I'm not going to do it because I have individual thought and free will. That's that involuntary system, whether you notice it or realize it or able to perpetuate it or not. And try to get that book, the one, Generational Wealth, Information Asymmetry and Your Success. It's at Amazon. It's at lulu.com. I'm trying to help you to understand. Getting back to that formal logic is critical to your critical thinking skills and your ability to thrive and survive, and is directly associated with generational wealth. That's been my time for today. Remember, mental health is physical wealth.
Mental health is